Welcome to the Fallout House of Secrets edition.
Woo!
And the fingers are back, Jordyn. The jazz fingers are back.
It's too much work for me.
Honestly. Welcome to the Fallout, your number one source for the fallout of all things reality TV. Today, super, super excited. We are here talking week one. 3 whole episodes. I think it's 5 hours of television we're talking about today, Jordyn?
You know what I'm going to suggest? Get a cup of coffee, get some tea. We're going to spill a lot. This could be a little longer than usual.
I've got a very large coffee mug here. But yeah, so we're going to be talking week one. That's episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Big Brother Australia 2021. I'm Logan Murphy.
And then I'm Jordyn Lagace, also known as BB Can Source. Ooh, that's back too.
Yes. Jordyn, we're back talking Big Brother Australia. Thank God.
I mean, our episode title for tonight says it all.
Where is Brenton? Where the fuck is Brenton? I would like to know. He's on Instagram. If you want to go follow him.
Yes, follow Brenton on Instagram. He's a lovely lad.
Who is Brenton, you might be asking? We'll explain later. Is he going to be brought up in any of these 3 episodes? No, because he's not in any of them. But we just... So if you... I'll give a little bit of the backstory tea. So if you did not listen to our cast assessment for BBAU, first of all, stop this, go watch that, and then come back and watch this. Because our cast assessment is great. It was a great, good old time. But so Brenton is a house. But yeah, so we have 20 house guests in the house. And the only one that was shown but isn't in the house yet is Brenton. And so we're just kind of confused on where Brenton is. This whole season, the preseason was confusing. The season thus far has been confusing. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of drama, a lot of fabulous women, and we're here to talk all of those things. But before we get started, if you're watching live or after the fact on YouTube, make sure you are subscribing to Jordyn's channel, liking, subscribing, turning on that notification bell, doing all those things, the YouTube things. Y'all already know the YouTube things. And if you're listening to us after the fact, wherever fine podcasts can be listened to, make sure you are liking, following, subscribing, commenting. Our Twitters are on screen if you're watching the video version.
Literally right behind us, underneath us.
Yes. Audio versions are available on our link tree. Go check that out. And without further ado, Jordyn, we've got a lot to talk about. So we decided we were only going to do this once a week. And maybe that was a mistake.
Especially like the next episode, because BBAU is going to be 4 nights a week this week. 4 nights this week.
Yeah, apparently, or is it this season? I'm just confused. I'm still confused on the schedule. So what
there's a lot of flip-flopping with the schedule. That's what we're getting.
I thought we were done with the flip-flopping and I thought we were done with the flip-flopping and the waffling and the sandals with BB Can ending, Jordyn. I didn't know it would come from the actual production team of BBAU. But then again, they didn't give us cast bios for 9 of the house guests who are actively in the game and doing things. So, like... And we only got a few
what else
VTs.
We're not doing? We're only getting VT when people are evicted. Or close
relevant.
To being evicted. I'm so lost.
I'm still sitting here. We've gone through 3 episodes, and I'm still sitting here like, who's Christina? Who's Charlotte? Who is Charlotte? I would like to know who Charlotte is, because I think she maybe got like 2 minutes of airtime total in 3 episodes, and she wasn't even in one of them.
Hi, Connor. Welcome.
Hi, Connor. Love you, Connor. Thank you for joining us live. Yeah, y'all that are joining us, wherever you're listening live after the fact, whatever, buckle in. We got to get into, first of all, episode 1. And the intro was just a lot of the same clips that we got from the preseason on Twitter. So again, go check out our cast assessment if you haven't listened to that. But I would like to take the next probably 30 minutes to talk, and this goes across.
We don't have
30
minutes to talk about Sonia.
But I want to, Jordyn. I would like to talk about Sonia.
She's looking fantastic.
This black and white vertical triangle stripe moment for the premiere
is a moment.
Everything. Yeah. I am on board. I am sold. Like, I fucking love Sonia. She is honestly, for me, as far as Big Brother hosts across the country, or not across the country, across the world, she is like right up there with Arissa for me. I'm gonna be honest. As far as like hosting abilities, fashion, like, she's up there for me.
Yes.
Yeah, she's also
up there for me.
She is.
I miss Emma Willis.
Oh, I miss Emma. But we get Emma on the Circle UK. So, like, honestly, I'm just still very happy that Emma Willis is booked and blessed. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. So we start the first episode, which was last Monday's episode, which seems like ages ago, but it was literally last Monday. We start with the first 3 house guests entering, and that is Daniel, Nick, and Melissa. And we get a little bit of the VTs on them. Melissa's from South Australia. Like, she's like the Outback mom, I think is what they referred to her as in the preseason. She hasn't had Wi-Fi in 5 years, and she doesn't have an electric oven. And I said, oh, good God, you actually live in the country. Yes.
How's she making all her lamb?
Well, she has like a normal oven, I guess.
Like fire?
I guess. I was also confused. I'm just like,
okay.
How do you make your lamb roasts? Like,
because she's obsessed.
I don't. We'll get to the sheep and the lamb of it all. She did have a really emotional moment in her VT, and this was also something we saw preseason, where she was like, winning this game is life or death for me. And I think that kind of explains, especially in the first week, it kind of explains her mentality as far as the moves that she makes in the game, and we'll get to those as well. And then we get a little bit of Daniel's VT. And I will say, across the board for the first 3 episodes, these VTs for everyone kind of gave us a lot more insight into who these people are. Because did you know that Daniel was one of the most successful real estate agents in Australia? No, I didn't either. Because that was never mentioned in the VT.
No.
I mean, it's good. It explains a lot of things. I'm going to be honest. It explains a lot.
It does.
And like, he says he's going to be, he says he's going to be pathologically strategic. Okay. So Daniel and Melissa, as well as Nick, are redhead colorblind painter. Remember him, Jordyn? They're the first 3.
Remember him. Lord help us all.
So they're the first 3 to enter. I think Melissa was technically the first person in the house. I don't know if there's any BBAU. I don't know if there's any BBAU first person in curses, because I know BBUS has it. But yeah, so if there's a curse.
And what is the first thing Melissa does when she arrives in the house?
She drinks the tap water. And I'm just like, oh my God, she literally is from the middle of nowhere.
Her response is, there's chlorine. Or something on those lines.
You can't make it up, Jordyn. You can't make it up.
Oh, and then she's also playing with the electric stove.
Yes, and then shortly after asks Daniel if he's had work done. And I was like, but it's like obvious. You could see that he clearly has work done. But
before she asks if Daniel has had work done, Big Brother gets her in the DR right away.
Can we spend 30 minutes talking about Australian Big Brother? Because I love him.
I love him.
I want to be friends with him.
I'm formally proposing. The sass, I just live for it. Me and the banter. Logan, the banter. Between the houseguests and Big Brother.
Was he this like vocal and active like this last season? Because I just don't remember it.
I don't know. Okay, like I'm not gonna be like. So
is this a different Big Brother?
I haven't seen last season. I've seen clips. He sounded just as vocal. Okay. This is the first series of the Big Brother reboot that I've actually been following along as it's going.
Same. I watched BBAU 2020 after the fact, but I did watch
like I had seen clips of Angela and the tea situation last season.
Icon.
So yeah, I think he's going to be the sassy for the rest of the season.
I love it. I guess I just didn't remember how like vocal in the house, in the DR, in the comps. Like I guess I just didn't realize how vocal he was. But like I'm on board. Like I would rather have this than like than anything else.
I'm just gonna say it. Can I have this over the dramatic intros of BB Can?
Agreed. Give me Sonia and whatever Australian Big Brother's name is. Like, I just want the two of them. I'm good.
Big Brother, if you have Twitter, I want to follow. I miss you. I love you.
Honestly. So then we get a little bit of like banter, chit chat stuff, and then Big Brother says any house guest to the DR. And at this point, we still only have Daniel, Melissa, and Nick. And so Daniel decides to go. Is it Danny? Daniel? Big Brother's calling him Danny.
Look.
Big Brother's calling him Danny, but Sonia's calling him Daniel. So I just don't know.
Sometimes he calls him Daniel too, though.
Yeah, but like I feel like the guy behind Big Brother has like taken a liking to Danny. I don't know. I'm probably gonna say Daniel because truth be told, I don't like him that much. So Daniel goes to the DR.
Told, nor do I.
Yeah. So Daniel goes to the DR and he gets this surprise from Big Brother. It's the first like big mission of this series. And we saw this teased on Twitter and we talked about it in the cast assessment. Jordyn, were you disappointed? Because I know you had talked specifically about potentially being disappointed. Were you disappointed with this twist?
Absolutely.
Really?
You know what? We'll get into why I was disappointed.
I wasn't like wholly disappointed.
I was like, yes and no. I'm disappointed that it was Daniel that got the task.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Melissa would have also annoyed me if she did it. So like,
yeah. To be fair, I wouldn't have liked if any of the three of them got it, to be honest. But
no,
what
like
we're
I
talking
about, wish it was someone else. That's all.
Like Lil. Lil would have been great.
That would have been great.
Lil in the bunker with like maybe Katie. That would have been great. Great time. So
Katie in the bunker.
Katie in the bunker, period. So this secret mission is if he can escape the house without house guests knowing, going through this like he has to like press a button in the cave room under like a potted plant. And he has a lot of issues with it. Like when he's actually doing it.
He was struggling to find the potted plant.
He had to go back to Big Brother at one point. But if he can escape the house. But if he can escape the house without the house guests knowing, he's safe from not only the first nominations, but the first eviction. And Big Brother tells him he can bring anyone with him into the underground passage with with him, and they're also safe.
Yeah.
I will just say I was not surprised by the choice that he made.
I wasn't either.
We'll get there.
I wasn't.
So we finally get to talk about more people.
Thank goodness.
So the next group to move
three
in
are not my favorite.
No. Moving into three people that I genuinely enjoy a lot. So the next group to move in is Lil, Katie, and Carlos.
Isn't it Carlos? Carlos is what they're saying.
I'm gonna say
that's
Carlos.
How Sonia.
Oh,
that's
Carlos.
what Sonia says. She's like Carlos.
With the Aussie accent. I don't know if I can do an Aussie accent.
Carlos.
Good day, mate.
I don't.
Oh, that was pretty decent.
That was better than my British.
Yes. So all I noted when these three move in is that Melissa meets Carlos, and he's like, "My name is Carlos," and she goes, "Is that Mexican?" And I'm just like, "Oh God,
is that Mexican?" She really, I thought that maybe it was like a stick, but she really does live in the nowhere.
She literally lives in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just
what she
like,
probably deals with a lot?
What?
Bearded dragons.
Not a bearded dragon promo.
Mine's in his cave sleeping right now.
We love to see it. Shout out to Draco.
They are like native to the Australian outback. That's why I say she.
I didn't know
deals
that.
With them quite frequently.
Work. I didn't know that.
So
love it. My big question, honestly, is like, one, how did Melissa know about Big Brother Australia? And two, how did she apply? Like, that's what I would like to know at this point. If she doesn't have Wi-Fi, like, how? Did
she find the Outback's only Starbucks to upload an audition?
Maybe. I don't know. So that group move-in wasn't super, like, interesting. But this next group, very interesting. So the next group in is Max, Renata, and Christina. And I want to emphasize her name is Renata, not Renata or Renata. It's Renata. And I have a lot of things to talk about. Bermuda? No, it's Renata. And I have a lot of things to talk about because Daniel literally still couldn't get her name right. Anyway, so we find out.
You know what? He's probably still struggling with.
He is still confused, honestly. We find out an interesting fact about Christina. She's of Russian heritage, and that's literally all we find out about Christina. I'm like,
you know what though? Like, I'm not surprised. Like, no. I don't want to like throw early shade, but I feel like Christina would be the chick on the Russian dating site that you would see on 90 Day Fiancé.
Not that, Jordyn.
I'm just saying.
No. Well, it's not like she's from. It's not like she's from Russia. She's just like
no, but like I just like I even. Yeah, but like I. How do I say it? Like, it just feels very that.
The vibe. No, I get that.
Like,
I get that.
Just like when she's entering, she also feels very like she just doesn't look like a happy person.
No.
She's like, bitch, there better be rosé.
Mm-hmm. And you know who is trying to make people see that he's a happy person, Jordyn? Max. And we get a VT from Max, which tells me that either he is an important person or he's an early boot. And we'll get there. Honestly, that's what all the VTs we've gotten. Yeah, So Max is a decorated Iron Man. He called himself the challenge threat, but he's here to show everyone he's nice, Jordyn. Like, that's the whole thing. And then we spend too long finding out that Katie and Max have dated. And I'm just like, y'all couldn't do your research
on that. Yeah, so I feel like it actually was
a complete mistake.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they dated like 6-7 years ago. Like, this sounds like a very, very like old thing.
Yeah, and you know what else I got the vibe of? Katie doesn't seem to be over him.
No. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Like, I feel like he broke her heart.
Probably. So, yeah, we spend too much time on that. I don't want to spend too much time on that. So, the last group
Daniel
one.
Oh, we're gonna just get Daniel trying to find the bunker.
Well, I brought it up, but like at this point that they show Daniel going into the cave room and he can't find it, so he goes back to Big Brother and he's like, "Give me the instructions again, but slower." And I'm just like, no. So the last,
you know what that man could learn with? Some breathing.
Not breath work, Jordyn. We are not bringing breath work into God. If you don't get it, go watch episode 1 of our circle coverage for the season.
I'm just dropping all the promo.
I can't handle you anymore.
Okay. Next person is icon legend SJ.
Just wait. Connor, I didn't even clock to me until just now. But you are 100% correct.
Accurate AF.
100% that is correct. Wow. Yeah, that I was like, he reminds me of someone. It all makes
sense now.
It does. It really does.
Well, he gave me someone else. But we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. So this last group in is SJ, Icon Legend, and Star. Mitch and Sid. And I would like to talk for an extended period of time about how iconic SJ is.
If you guys haven't seen her Instagram, Icon Legend, check it out.
Like, it's great. I don't have the link offhand, but like, it's great. She has 194,000 followers. And I was just like, work, sis. Like, that's great. And I would also like to talk in length about how attractive Sid is. Sid is my eye candy for the season. Sorry.
Mine has yet to arrive. Anyway.
And it's at this point, Jordyn, that the door's closed. The doors are closed. Everyone's in the house. Oh my God, the doors are closed. What's happening? The doors are closed.
Yay.
So we are only getting 12 house guests on this first night. And I'm just like,
and you know what? 2 of them are apparently going on a secret ass mission.
Yes. So
we're gonna have only 10.
We only had 10 because Daniel decides that he's gonna choose Nick to go into the bunker. Genuinely not surprised.
One moment I liked about that though was when Nick is like lost initially, and then like he's trying to wake him up, and he's like cold. Choices.
Yes. Connor, I agree. If SJ doesn't win, we riot. There's a couple other people that I would include in the mix. Along with
100%.
SJ, but we'll get there because they're people that currently, as we are talking, are not in the house. But I love this shady comment from Connor because most of these other players are eyes emoji. Love it. Fabulous, amazing, completely agree. We'll get to some of these other players. But yeah, so
Katie, Renata, Christina, they were talking about Daniel, who seems to already be strategizing. Yeah, honey, he's strategizing his exit.
Yeah, and he's just like, Daniel throughout what we've seen so far has just been like asserting himself and being like, I am the dominant person. It's me. I'm the dominant person. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's a lot of energy to be having day one, sis. Like, no.
Calm.
But it seems to be working out for him so far.
You need to calm down.
Yes.
Very that.
And then, yeah, so should we talk about secret mission time, Jordyn?
But we didn't talk about Mitchell being obsessed with platypus.
I have more things to talk about with Mitchell and platypi in I think the next episode. So I'm gonna save that comment. I'm gonna save that. God. There's a lot.
Okay, but like the Mario reference.
Oh my god, he does look like Mario. I was just
He's real life Mario. I am literally dead.
I cried. I'm loving Mitchell so far. I don't love the side of the house that Mitchell is on, but I like Mitchell so far. So we get a lot of stuff about this secret mission. Nick literally would not wake up. Like, I think Daniel had to kick him like 3 or 4 times, and it still wasn't working.
I want to know how long he was trying to wake him up.
It seems like a while, and then Max almost
long enough
caught
for
them.
Like Max almost catching them, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
They make it so Daniel and Nick are safe until the first eviction ceremony. Good for you. I'm just glad they didn't get caught, is kind of where I was at with it.
Yeah, because the twist wouldn't have been as fun if they got caught.
Yeah, but then in the boiler room, Daniel is kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have picked Nick, with Nick sitting right there. I'm like, huh? But the reasoning, his reasoning is that Nick will probably be more liked
have
than
any,
him.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Daniel seems to have no tact in this moment.
Daniel doesn't seem to have much tact at all.
I mean, accurate.
Yeah, I'm just confused. And then it's at this point that we get a Nick VT, and I was like, oh, good, we get to see more about Nick. And it's basically his preseason promo, VT, but we find out he had a failed cricket career. And I was like, oh, that explains things a little bit more, I guess. But, like, how did you play cricket colorblind? That's what I want to know. Like, I would like to know more about his colorblindness. Is it red-green? Is it the other kind that I can't remember offhand?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Do your research and educate me.
Will do. So we're finally on day 2, thank God. And Melissa is like, we're missing 2 people. We're missing 2 people. And goes into like a full-on tizzy.
She's like, my 2 lambs are missing. There's 2 people. Where are the 2 I came in with?
She is missing 2 lambs.
And she's that farmer.
And then in the bunker, Nick didn't decide to grab a shirt before he left. So they turn a towel into a shirt. And I was like, okay.
Here's going back to like the spark of Big Brother. He offers the house guests to make a list of demands. Look, if Big Brother is asking you to do that, something isn't.
You say the opposite thing from what you want. Because and skipping ahead for the hottest of, or no, this is in sequence. Never mind. So Big Brother decides that he's going to get all the things that people asked for. I think Carlos asked for an espresso machine. And honestly, my drinking game now for BBAU 2021, drink every time Carlos talks about coffee.
Ooh, you might be dead.
You'll probably be dead by like
you know
the middle
what?
of
Like Carlos has a lot of energy. A lot.
I thought I drank a lot of coffee, and then I met Carlos. Honestly, so Big Brother decides Carlos. But yeah, so Big Brother decides that he's going to put all of those things through Chippy, a giant wood chipper, and it was this moment where I said, "Wait, they are about to put raw lamb through a wood chipper and project it all over the Big Brother backyard. I would not be touching that backyard, that pool,
let alone getting in the pool.
That is disgusting. And I hope they got it cleaned before they were allowed to go back out there, because that is absolutely disgusting.
The lamb was the last one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, well, at least in what we saw. At least in what we saw.
Yeah, well, like in the editing.
Yeah. The editing was that Melissa put her lamb roast through at the end. So it's at this point, Jordyn, I would like to talk about Mitch and his love of platypi. He has a tattoo that he got recently on his arm. Not me showing off my arm tattoo. Ooh. And so Big Brother asks Mitch to demonstrate how to be a platypus. And that is like the running thing for the rest of episode 1, is that they're just talking.
I was dead.
Yeah.
The noises, I was having flashbacks to the whale sounds in the DR.
I can't. Oh, and remember Christina,
Look,
Jordyn?
If Mitch wins a platypus, like if Mitch wins, is he gonna get a platypus?
I don't know if they're safe to be like household pets in Australia. If anyone knows, let me know.
I don't remember my Australia.
No, remember Christina, Jordyn? Remember her?
Yeah.
We get a cute little DR from her, and she's like, "I think Max is cute," and that's about it. Her storyline thus far across 3 episodes is the fact that she found Max cute.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know who didn't like the Max and Christina connection?
Katie. Katie is mad, but Jordyn, I think it's time. Jordyn, for the first nomination challenge. Yeah, so okay. So
it's why we're in the backyard, because quite frankly,
it's not the backyard. It's the
yard. Arena.
Just the yard.
Look. The yard, the arena, I'm all about it.
Absolutely. So if you're not familiar with the formatting of BBAU, let me illuminate you. So the traditional format is that they do a nomination challenge every day that someone's going to get evicted. Someone wins the nomination challenge, and that person is basically the HOH as we know it. And they get to nominate 3 house guests for eviction. No, like, consoling, no, like, chance to save yourself, I guess. Like, those are the nominees. Those are the people facing eviction. And then at some point, I believe last season there was a veto. But there's no, like, veto in this format. And so I'm just kind of confused.
Right.
I don't hate this format. I'm just not like completely sold on this format.
What I'm struggling with this format, like as of right now, I'm getting the vibe that we're going to only have physical challenges. And I feel like that might not be great. Like, I want some variety.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there.
This is Big Brother, not a Survivor.
Yeah, and we'll get there. And I thought with all the physical challenges that it would be skewed one specific direction, and that seems to not be the case. But we'll get there. So this challenge, you have to climb a 7-meter tower to collect bags of little blocks. And you have to use the blocks between this part of the second part of the challenge is something we've seen on BBUS before. I don't know about BBCam, but we've seen it on BBUS. So it's like the 2 poles, and then you have to stack all of the blocks in between them, and then it has to hold for 3 seconds. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cute. Like, it's going to be like little blocks, no big deal. No, they're all like full on like 4-inch eye logos on their blocks. And I was like, oh, Oh, geez. Jordyn, how do you think you would have done in this nomination challenge?
I would still be trying to get up the pole.
No. Oh no, not that.
I would be being sassed by Big Brother. Jordyn struggling to climb the pole.
Yeah, okay.
Still struggling.
That was what I was like. I didn't know we were going to get live commentary from Big Brother during the comps. And I love it. Like, it's so great for me. Yeah, so
Katie's got her first bag.
Lil is still sitting at the top. Yeah, so we see the early leaders in this comp
taking her first jump.
Leap. So in the early parts of the competition, we see Max, Mitch, and Katie are doing well. Shocker. Lil ain't doing too well, and we get a lot of fear from SJ and Carlos and Renata. And so everyone, so Max, Mitch, and Katie end up being the first three to make it to the puzzle, I guess, part of the competition. And then everyone else kind of slowly starts joining them and getting the stuff, with the exception of Lil. Lil gets one bag, she jumps off one time, and then just sits at the top for the rest of the challenge. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, fair. That's fine. Like, I get it.
Look, I would have been Lil the second I seen all those fucking eyes.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat or in the comments, how do you think you would have done in this comp? I think I would have been fine. I wouldn't have been like the first person to get all the blocks with the jumping, but like I probably would have done it eventually.
Once I got up the pole, I would have had no problem jumping. It would have been the climbing up the pole
just
part.
The climbing part? Okay. Yeah, so towards the end of the competition, like this lasted for a little bit, but towards the end of the competition, it kind of comes down to Max and Renata, and like this is kind of like a complete come from behind sort of situation for Renata, because she hadn't really she wasn't the fastest getting all of her blocks. And then all of a sudden, she gets her stuff up, and Renata wins the first nomination challenge of the season. And I was like, okay, woman, yes, get it. Fabulous.
Honestly, what a moment for Renata. Not Ricotta, Renata.
Jordyn, Connor's with you. He would have done badly.
Lord.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. So this one,
how tall was that?
7 meters, which
is roughly
let me convert that real quick.
I'm just curious.
23
because
feet.
Okay, so I wouldn't have had the problem jumping. It would have just been getting up there.
That's fair. Completely fair. Yeah, so this was done super late at night. So then we start with the morning of day 3. And SJ they're still we're missing 2 house guests. And so SJ and Lil go on a hunt for the missing house guests.
Not only are they going on a hunt, SJ mentions a secret bunker that may be in the area.
And they're literally feet away from where the button is. And I was like, are they gonna find it? Oh my god.
If they would have found it, I wonder what would have happened.
Then they wouldn't have been safe? I don't know. I feel like Big Brother probably went in after night 1 and got rid of the button.
Could you imagine?
No. But yeah, so typically, and what we'll see with the other 2 episodes that we're talking about tonight, is traditionally they do the nomination challenge and then they immediately go to the DR and make nominations.
Except for this one.
Except for this one, because it was super late at night. I guess I understand it. So Renata goes to the diary room.
What I think they should have had her do is I think she should have still had to directly nominate, but then they could have waited for the announcement to be in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they don't do it in person. it's one person. You know who nominated everyone. Like, that's kind of where I'm like, why do we have this middleman step where Big Brother is telling them? But it's whatever. So Renata goes to the diary room, and we find out that she has nominated Max, Christina, and Melissa for eviction. She says that Max comes across arrogant and like he's a challenge threat. He said that Christina is getting close to Max, which is why she's putting her up. And then with Melissa, she basically puts her up as a pawn. And it's just like, I don't want her to go anywhere, but I need a third person to go up. And
what I don't understand was, why didn't she put Katie beside Max?
Because I think at that point, Renata had a good relationship with Katie.
Okay. I was just like...
I think that was the thing. Yeah, I think it was like she wanted to get out Max or Christina. Probably Max. And put Christina up just because like Katie wasn't getting close to him in the house, but Christina was. I think that was kind of the thoughts. But it's interesting because at this point, Danny and Nick in the underground bunker are seeing the nominations play out. And so they're thinking that Max and Christina will have Mitch, Sid, and Katie on their side to vote out Melissa, which I thought was interesting at that point. They're like trying to like save Melissa. So the nominees are revealed. There's a lot of conversations prior to going into the eviction room. Max is like,
because everybody gets a vote except for Renata, right?
So everyone in the BBAU format, everyone gets a vote, even the nominees, except for the person who won the nomination challenge. So there's a lot of conversations, and basically what happens is like Max is pushing Melissa because she's not fitting in, and Max was like super confident that he had Katie's vote. Katie's just unsure. Melissa pushing for Max. So basically at this point we see that it's basically either Max or Melissa. Christina's essentially safe in this scenario, which is not necessarily the plan that Renata wanted to happen. But right before we go into the eviction room, Katie's basically saying that she's the swing vote. She's like, I'm the one that can go in between because it's like a 9 or it's like a 5-5 sort of split, and I'm the one in the middle, which was interesting. So we get to the eviction room for the first time, and I love the eviction room.
I love
there
the
was no
eviction room.
So there was no eviction room last series. I think they all did it in what they call the lounge room, which is like the living room. But I love it. And the big talk in the eviction room, honestly, is just that Max is a threat. Christina is open to discussion about being with Max because SJ brings up that there may be some underlying reasons as to why her and Max were put up. And then they bring back Nick and Daniel, and we find out Sonia looks great, by the way. I think is this the red moment?
Okay. I think this was the red look. But what I found funny was that they had to actually go back up through the little hole in the couch.
Yeah, I was like, why can't you just take them through like their version of the camera runs? Like, is that the only direct access? Like, I'm confused. How are they getting them things? Like, because obviously they had to feed them. So like, how are we? Confusion. But we find out, so not everyone is voting in this vote, Jordyn. So Nick and Daniel, for some reason, because they were in the bunker, they can now choose to either evict no one or they can vote to evict someone, but they're the only two that have votes.
What would you have done?
I wouldn't have evicted anyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
I think even with Max on the block, I would take that opportunity to make an ally out of all three of those people.
100%.
Which is kind of the argument. It's like the argument that Katie was getting at. So we get a little bit of a quarrel between Daniel and Katie, and then Daniel and Nick are fighting. Because I think at this point, Nick is very much so like, oh, I'm not voting anyone out. Like, I don't really have information. I'm not voting anyone out. And Daniel is kind of like up in the air about it.
But but isn't.
But yeah, he's like trying to decide what he wants to do. Their speeches were pretty generic. Like, if it's my time to go, I'll go.
Yeah.
Christina says, if you want to get physical strength out, then I'm not it. And I was like, I love the like self-realization of that. Like, I was like, okay, Christina, work.
Yeah, that's cute.
And Max basically is pushing like, just don't vote. Like, don't vote any of us out. He's not even just campaigning for himself, he's campaigning for the group. And then if you keep me, I'll plant my flag next to yours. Like, basically just like make an ally out of me. Don't vote me out. I'm a physical threat. And so we go to the voting, and Nick, shocker, doesn't vote anyone out. And then Daniel, shocker, not really, votes someone out. And at this point, Jordyn, we find out that the first person evicted from BBAU 2021 is Max.
Rip.
I was kind of sad. He was nice to look at.
I was very sad.
I was sad but not surprised.
I get it, because he did do well in the challenge, and why wouldn't you take it out while you can? But as a game move, I don't know if that's your best play to make and cast the sole vote to evict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially
because I just like with like no information, I don't know if that's wise.
Yeah, I think because Daniel did see the relationship between Max and Katie unfold night one. So he definitely knew that the relationship was there. So I understand the move. I just don't agree with the move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we get a preview.
And more house guests are going in. Thank God.
Yay,
more
8 new people.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. We are done with episode 1. That was all episode 1, Jordyn.
If you have to get up and pee, take a moment. I need a cocktail. I need a drink. I need a drink.
Cocktail. Well, while you get your
cocktail.
Not that. There's always time for a cocktail.
Oh,
shout out to Mrs. Kasha Davis. We love Mrs. Kasha Davis on this podcast. So while you're getting your drink, I'll talk about the beginnings of day 2, because we're finally, or not episode 2. We're on day 4.
Technically, day 4.
Yeah, episode 2, day 4.
It feels like a. You know what I feel like? Like that first episode felt like. Yeah, I don't. It just 84 years. 4 episodes this week. 4. So next week.
Does it feel like 84 years, Jordyn? I didn't have my 84 years banner ready.
You should always have the 84 years banner ready.
Yeah. So we start episode 2. SJ is up very early, and she's not wearing a shirt. And she goes, there's fully, we don't see it, but there's fully titties out. Titties are out on channel.
And she goes into the DR and says, the kids are asleep.
The kids are asleep. And she constantly
and then Big Brother responds with, as the most mature housemate. And
she, like, throughout these next 2 episodes, is constantly referring to everyone as kids, even though we'll talk about Mary. But Mary, I think, is, like, only 10 years younger than SJ. Like, Mary's the next person in line as far as age is concerned, but she's only, like, 10 years younger, but SJ is still calling them all kids. And I love it.
Okay, what I was cackling was it Christina and Mitch in the like kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
And all you hear is the like self tanner, and it sounds like someone is farting.
Daniel and his self tanner, and Renata's like lotion, and he's like, it's self tanner. And I'm like, oh my God. Just Oh my god. This whole morning was weird. Like there's self-tanner, there's friendship building with Nick and
There's
Daniel.
boobs.
There's boobs, but we don't see them. I'm like, I would show the titties, Channel 7. Show the titties.
Katie's a world champion surf lifesaver.
Yeah, so we get Katie's VT now, which I'm like, great, more VT. Yeah, so Katie is like a world champion surf lifeguard person. She's done things and won awards for them with surfing.
mean, she's kind of a badass bitch. If you
I
haven't
love
listened
Katie.
to her podcast, I recommend it.
Absolutely, completely agree. So we get
what was the what's the podcast called? Do you remember by any chance?
Oh god, I have no fucking clue.
Oh, I know what it is. Katie Williams, Better For It.
Better For It, yes. Go listen to her podcast. Go follow Brenton, Lil, and SJ on Twitter, or not on Twitter, on Instagram. You can you can follow us on Twitter. You do all the things. Yeah, so Katie's feeling kind of alone after the Max eviction. Her and Daniel, like this is like the foreshadowing.
What really, like, this is where I realized Katie still really had feelings for Max.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt bad.
I mean, to be fair, if I went into the Big Brother house with one of my exes, and there's one in particular because I know he's a Big Brother fan, and that's why we bonded and ended up dating. But like, if I ended up in a Big Brother house with one of my exes, like, or someone I knew in general, that's automatically a feeling of comfort because otherwise you're in a house with complete strangers. So I think a lot of Katie's problem is that she's lost sort of that lifeline that she had with Max and like feeling comfortable because she had Max in the house with her.
I mean, at least she doesn't have to watch Max flirt with Christina anymore.
Right. And then shortly after we get Katie's VT, Jordyn, we get Lil's VT. And I was like,
come on, Lil.
I'm like, don't give us Lil's VT because she's going home early. We'll get there. And she says that her favorite style of conversation is confrontation. This is everything I've wanted out of a Big Brother casting choice. Like, honestly, Lil is one of the most dynamic people Big Brother across the world has cast in years. And I thought the most dynamic was Carlos, but no.
Carlos and his espresso?
Yes. Also, go follow Lil's podcast. I don't know what it's called either, but go follow her podcast.
I don't know what that one is.
I don't know.
I'm sure that's easy to find.
Let's go to her Instagram. It's on there.
Yeah.
And then Jordyn. It's time for the sheep task.
I died.
Oh my god. So
I don't like these two individuals, but
I love this task.
Big Brother, you shady cunt. You shady bitch.
So, Big Brother tasks Melissa with hiding a series of sheep in every room in the house. And if she's able to do it, she gets that good old lamb roast dinner that Big Brother put through Chippy on episode 1. They just brought all the scraps together.
You know what? Like, Big Brother lamb budget seems to be very...
Are they getting it from her farm? I would like to know. I hope so. Supporting local businesses. I would hope so. But yeah, so she has to hide a sheep in every room of the house. She recruits one person. She can recruit one person. So for some reason, she chooses Daniel. And I was like, I easily would have chosen either Nick for the height, or I would have chosen like one of the stronger guys. I guess that Daniel was the strong guy. Because like Mitch doesn't look like he has a lot of strength. Maybe Sid, but I don't think she had a relationship with Sid at that point. Like if Max was in the house, I would have chosen Max.
Yeah, I would have chosen Brenton. Oh wait, he's not there yet.
Yeah, but I probably would have chosen Nick for the height. Like, just get things in all the high
Yeah.
places. That way no one finds it. Like, that's easy.
Yeah.
But no, so she picks Daniel. And it starts out with this, like, tiny little sheep figurine. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then it slowly graduates to, like, a giant photo sheep. And then a life-size fake sheep, Jordyn. There is a life-size sheep in the Big Brother house. And so where does she decide to hide it, Jordyn? In the fucking toilet. Are you kidding me?
Watching her climb over the toilet door.
I 100% thought they were going to.
I was like,
this is not going to work.
They were so close to getting caught.
But they end up being successful. So they get a lamb roast dinner. And everyone's happy except for SJ because she's a vegan. And the whole time I was like, oh,
SJ's like,
okay.
I'll have the vegetable budget. And then, like, I also kind of noticed, like, a hierarchy with, like, the vegetables. Was it Renata who was like, no, let's not use the mushrooms. Let's use them for, like, omelets or something else?
We'll talk about Renata and her hierarchies of vegetables and other things. There's a lot to talk about with Miss Renata in the kitchen. But we get to talk about more people, Jordyn. They move 8 more house guests in on night 4. And I just want to say, why can't we get an audience for them too? They moved in and there was no audience. It was just Sonia. I'm like, why can't we get an audience?
So, like, in this preview, because, like, we had talked about it, where I was like, are they allowed to talk in the car? Is it, like, an awkward car ride? And then, like, in this speech, like, in these arrivals, they were talking in the car. They were like, this is wild.
Crazy. So we get our remaining 8 house guests, still no Brenton, but 8 more house guests. We got Mary and Charlotte come together. We get Christopher and Tilly together, Ari and Marley together, and then Michael and Jess. We find out something about Charlotte. Connor, I thought about that same comment about whether she had a vegetable tier list. I would like to see it. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the Fallout will also do a vegetable tier list. Jordyn, what do you think? Because I don't think
there's also vegetables I can't have.
It'll be more me talking about the vegetables I like, and Jordyn just everything's gonna be F tier because everything is bad for Jordyn. But I don't know if there's a vegetable tier list, but I would like to find out if there was a vegetable tier list.
Renata, is there a vegetable tier list? We would like to know. Tell us in the comments.
Yes. But
because I tagged all of you.
Yes. Jordyn, remember Charlotte? Do you remember Charlotte?
Charlotte.
She's a stylist.
Not much. I love a Charlotte.
That's all we know. That's all we know about Charlotte. So I'm just like, okay, cool, great. I'm glad to meet you, Charlotte. And then we find out at this point as well that Jess is an AFLW footballer, which is really cool. We love athletes. And so I believe this first group was Charlotte, Mary, Jess, and Michael. And they get sent into BB Air. And I'm like, I wasn't really surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised because we saw it in the promo for the season that there were 8 house guests in BB Air.
But you know what? This task has been done before, though.
Most recently, BB UK 19.
Right.
Exact task.
You know what?
Done.
I think BB UK has done it a few times.
BB UK has done things like this before, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we get more house guests, Jordyn. Marley is a basketball player and a disability support worker. And I was like, that was not an angle I thought we were going to get out of you, Marley. I'm happy to see it.
We also get Ari.
Yeah, we don't get his full VT until episode 3, but good Lord, I love him. He is just everything I love.
How would you have done on that plane for 24 fucking hours?
Absolutely not. I would have quit. Like, dead ass, I would have quit. Like, absolutely
you would have
not.
been like, 24 hours? Where's the parachute?
Honestly, unless there were hot guys and or interesting women to talk to. Or other people. All gender identities should be represented on Big Brother. Period.
And
if
then
there were
we
like
got a
interesting
Tilly
people,
segment.
Yeah, we get Tilly's cute little VT. She put earplugs in her nose.
Choices.
Is she smart or is she just book smart? I'm confused about Tilly. I love Tilly. I think she has provided ample amounts of entertainment in the 2 episodes we've seen her in. But I'm just like, are you actually smart?
Holy shit.
Nothing else to say after that? Holy shit, Jordyn? Or
look, all I'm gonna say is let's try to go through this a little quicker. Because
well, I'm doing my best.
I feel like we may be splitting this into another episode. Not like next week, we might have to add a second live to the week because
this is a lot.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. So, Tilly, she's book smart. She got high distinctions at uni, but she's really, she for me is literally Elle Woods. Like, this is Elle Woods personified. And you can't tell me otherwise.
Tilly is certified legally blonde.
100%. But I love her. She's also the kind of person that I absolutely love. So we get another Tilly stan. Absolutely. We get another segment where Daniel can't pronounce Renata's name. Great. Mel dubs herself the Lambassador. Great. And then they get turbulence. We check back into BB Air, and they're getting some turbulence. And it's at this point, they're like fully eating dinner. And they start getting turbulence. And Mary is fully holding her wine out to the side, like covering it. She's like, I don't want to waste my wine. And I was like, Mary is a woman after my own heart. Like that.
And now the big babies drop.
And then they're like about to go to sleep, and now there's fake babies. And I'm just like, what? What? And then, Jordyn, it gets worse, because now, morning of day 5, a button appears in the house, and everyone's like, oh my god, a button. We're going to press it. And so they think every time they press the button, Big Brother gives them a compliment. But in reality, they do that, and there's turbulence. And I just felt so bad. I felt so bad, Jordyn.
I'm dying. I'm dying now.
I just, oh my god. And then we get Daniel's cocky ass saying, and this was also shown a lot in the promo, he's like, I'm going to be the best Big Brother player in the world. And I'm just like,
bitch.
Not with that jump roping technique, like, not. Not with that jump roping technique, honey. No.
This is where I start to feel very like you're either with Daniel or you're the enemy.
Yeah, so we see this is the first time in the 2 episodes that we get sort of this acknowledgement of like a house divide. And so we see We see Daniel in the DR talking about how he's solid with Nick and Mel. Obviously, they're the people that he moved in with. And then he's also super close with Sid, Mitch, Renata, and Christina, which leaves this kind of other side of the house. And he's saying, like, worst case scenario, Katie and SJ link up with Carlos and Lil. So it at this point kind of seems like a 7-4 divide. Lil is in the DR saying that she thinks Daniel is the kingpin. And then we go into the nomination challenge, and Daniel is wearing concealer that's like 4 shades too light. And I'm just like, is war paint? Like, what are we doing here? It's not a cute look.
I don't know what that was, but you forgot to mention Marley spraying hairspray into his mouth.
Not hairspray. It was like hand sanitizer spray.
Look, all of the above. Hilarious.
Mess. So let's talk about another nominations challenge, Jordyn. Or nomination. It's a singular nomination challenge. Verbiage. And this is called Wrecking Ball. Basically. So it's an endurance challenge. You have to jump onto a wrecking ball and hold on for as long as you can. And the last house guest standing wins. So there's like 3 balls in a row. And so you jump onto the first one. And then you have to, they're like sitting on it for a little bit. And then you have to stand up on the first ball. And it's a live transition, like Survivor. So if you drop, you're out. And so at this point, we lose Carlos, Christina, SJ, and Lil. And then in the move to the second ball, everybody makes it, which I thought was interesting. There's a moment where Big Brother is like, Daniel, what do you like most about my yard? And he's like, I love the lion on the wall. And Nick goes, that's a feral cat, mate. And I just died and laughed and died. And I was just...
And then you know what happens?
Daniel drops.
Cocky ass balls.
I was like, thank God it's not Daniel winning. And then Nick, at this point, is like, I think Big Brother asked him something, and he was like, I'm doing it for us, the brotherhood. And I'm like, I don't... So toxic masculinity exists in Australia, too. Great, good to know. Like, no. So then they move to the third ball. And Mitch fully is like, I'm not doing this, and just drops immediately. Because at this point, the ball is like probably this big. If you're watching the visual, you see what
a tennis ball, isn't it?
I thought it was the size more of like a softball.
Like
that sort of size.
Yeah.
So we a little bit after the last transition, we see Sid and then Renata drop. So we're left with Katie, Nick, and Melissa at the 1 hour mark. And so they're all kind of struggling, except for Melissa. Melissa is just like locked and loaded and in the zone. And she's like, I breastfed 3 kids. I'm good. And I was like, okay, you know what, Mom? I was like, okay, mom empowerment. I'm on board, kind of. And then Katie drops. And then very shortly after, Nick is like, congrats. So Melissa wins our second nomination challenge. Going into it, I didn't really... I don't think I would have done well. I don't think this is the kind of endurance challenge for me. I think the like holding on a rope, but if my feet are like on the ground and I'm able to like balance myself that way, I think that's the kind of endurance challenge I would do well in.
I could do it.
You absolutely would slay this challenge.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
This is not I weigh like 110 pounds.
I weigh significantly more than that. So like I probably would have dropped out in the transition to standing up on the first ball. Honestly, that's kind of where I would have been. Like if I could just sit on the ball the whole time,
I would have done really well, or I would have probably like fell in transition.
No. Like I said, like the endurance challenges were like if I'm on the ground and it's an endurance sort of situation, I'm good. Like that's the endurance challenge for me.
And then we're back to BB Air enjoying their stay.
Yeah, we're back in BB Air. They're like, descent in 10 hours, I think, at this point. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
poor them. And then this is the point where Melissa has to go immediately and make her nominations. So she literally goes straight from the yard to the DR. And we find out that she has nominated SJ, Katie, and Lil for eviction. She says that Katie is a physical threat and that she had a gut feeling that she wanted to get Melissa out at the first eviction, which we find out later from Katie. I think it's in episode 3 when she's in a DR moment. We find out that Katie would have voted to evict Melissa had it been a traditional vote. So Melissa would have been the first person evicted. So, like, as far as Melissa's gameplay is concerned, it made complete sense for me. And I wasn't necessarily mad at the move.
I wasn't mad at the move.
Yeah, she kind of follows along
mad.
She kind of follows along the same lines as
the hierarchy.
Yeah, she kind of falls along the same lines of Renata's justification for the nominations, because she puts SJ up because she's close to Katie, and so it's like another sort of like Max and Christina nomination moment. And then she puts up Lil because Lil just hasn't made an attempt to get to know Mel, which, you know what, fair.
Valid.
It's day 5 at this point. I get it. So in the fallout from the nominations, we get Lil isn't really stressed. She's like, I'm a social player. This is what I do. I'm just going to be social and like get to know everybody, but not make it like a desperate sort of situation. And the shot then of Daniel and Nick sitting on their little fucking perch bed, whatever, next to the pool, I was just like, fuck you both. Like at this point, I'm just like, fuck you both.
So like, what was one thing that I'm gonna like say is, I'm sure Daniel's lovely in person, but what I'm not loving about
I don't even know if she's lovely in person. But
look, I will judge someone based on their actions outside of the house. After all, it is a game. There's money on the line, so I will not deteriorate character there. But I will say, this felt very Godfather-ish. Like, kiss my fucking ring. If you don't, you're out.
Yeah, and Katie kind of feeds into that, unfortunately. She's like, I don't want to leave. At this point, she's like, I was going to vote out Melissa. So she kind of realizes that she needs Daniel on her side. So she goes to Daniel, and she says, it's like a marathon game. We need friends. And Daniel fully says, if you stay long term, we can be friends. And then Nick is like rudely interrupts this chat, and I'm just like, that's fucking rude. Like,
and but like that stuff all like, this is the moment you realize that like where Daniel goes, Nick goes. So like that's the same like kind of
It's
they're like a weird odd pairing of an alliance. Like,
I'm just not a fan.
It's giving me Danny. Wait, remember when Big Brother was joking about them being the crooks, the wet bandits from Home Alone?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and this is kind of like a theme, because I just wasn't happy with the way Nick like interrupted the conversation. And like throughout these 3 episodes, I'm just gonna say it, the misogyny was kind of real. I wasn't really a fan of the misogyny. I was just like, no, can we like not do this? And I also don't love women coming after women, and that's kind of what we gotten with a few things so far, which is just not like the most thrilling thing in the world.
And like with like this, going back to Daniel and Nick, like Daniel's like, I don't know, talk to Nick, and then Nick was like, talk to Daniel.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is gross. I don't like this.
It was a full-on pissing match, and I was just over it.
Yeah. Also, fully breaking the fourth wall. If I look over to the side, it's because I switched to my phone because my computer died. We love technology. Yeah,
Use a plug-in. Take a moment.
I don't even have my charger near me. We're just gonna go on without my computer.
Not
It's fine.
that.
Yeah, so we got a lot of people are coming to Daniel. Katie's going to Daniel, SJ's going to Daniel, and she's like, what direction should I go in? And he's like, I don't really know. And it's at this point that SJ is kind of panicking a little bit. The edit is making it seem like SJ is about to get evicted, which I was not a fan of. And we get
I was worried for my SJ.
I was as well. And then we get this conversation before we go into the eviction room. We get a conversation with Daniel, Nick, Shocker, Christina, and Mitch talking about how Katie's probably a good person to keep around. And they agree at this point. Daniel says that he's voting out SJ at this point. And Nick at this point even acknowledges that Daniel is the general and calling the shots. So at the very least, like Daniel is
the godfather.
Yes, but at least at the very least, Nick is like cognizant enough and recognizes it.
Yeah.
So we get another BB Air check-in. And yeah, so their descent is like now an hour. And we go into the eviction room. And Daniel like puts himself front and center. And I forget like if it happened that way or if he like moved someone. There was one of the evictions, either the second or the third one, where he like moved the people to be like front and center. Sonia like fully recognizes it. Nick says at this point to Sonia that he calls himself king of the jungle, and I'm just like,
what did you think of the questioning in the eviction?
From Sonia?
Did it feel did you feel like it was leading in a sense?
I don't know, because it definitely gave SJ the moment to be like vulnerable. And I don't know, this felt kind of produced for me, if I'm being honest, because I think before this vote happened, if they had like literally not gone to the eviction room and Sonia was like, vote to evict now, I'm pretty sure SJ would have been evicted. Just because like she hadn't like connected with a lot of people, but Sonia kind of gives her the opportunity, and she gets emotional. She's crying, and then Daniel at this point, they're all kind of saying that they are confident they have the numbers to stay, and Daniel talks about SJ, and he says, if you're all things to all people, you don't end up being a whole lot. And I was just like, can you stop being a dick for 2 seconds? Like, just
I mean, I don't think you're gonna see Daniel stop being a dick until he's evicted.
And even then, he won't stop being
I'm not sure when that's gonna happen.
Unfortunately, I think we're gonna see Daniel in the long haul, and I'm not thrilled. But yeah, so SJ is getting emotional. She's talking about how she's not used to being so sociable so quickly. And I think it was Daniel also at this point is like, this is the vulnerability I've been wanting to see from you. And I'm like, you literally have known these people for 5 fucking days. Calm down. So it's at this point we get the votes. And SJ gets 1 vote, and Katie gets 2 votes. And by a vote of 7 to 2 to 1, unfortunately, Lil is
our second evicted.
There was a banner, but I don't know if Jordyn's going to show it. But I made a banner specifically for Lil.
Oh, I'm in charge of banners? Okay. Give me one
because because my computer is dead. Lil. There's my Lil banner. I was sad because I like her. And she said that she thought she was charismatic, but apparently she didn't have as much support as she thought she did.
You know, you're on day 5. If you're going to say you're going to be social and a threat, put your ass to fucking work.
Yeah, like apparently she didn't have enough conversations. Like, just being in the house doesn't mean you're gonna be safe. Like,
no. And
it
just
sucks
because
I
you're
like her.
and just because you're like you seem like you are a likable person or whatever, I don't think that's enough sometimes. You need in a game like Big Brother, it does move quick, and I feel like you take every chance you can to make those connections.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm gonna have a conversation with literally everyone in the early days if I can. Because even if you have
100%.
one conversation with someone and someone else doesn't have one,
No,
it'll maybe sway one way or the other.
that's your one possible vote to stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. So
you know
then
what we get at the end of the episode?
They're off of BB Air. They get to move. I'm so
Get
happy.
to leave the aircraft.
Thank God.
And at this moment, look, listen. And at this very moment, internally, Daniel is combusting.
I love
8 new faces coming in, and that's the realization where he's like,
oh, I'm not in charge anymore.
my hierarchy is about to not be high. I was living. And then one thing I rather enjoyed about this moment was Renata leaning in and going, do you see anything you like?
Yes. Her
and I was like,
her commentary
Ricardo, you did that.
Not ricotta. Not ricotta, Jordyn.
I was just like,
no.
Here we go. Game on, bitches.
And so honestly, so the preview we got. Also, shout out to my roommate for grabbing my computer charger.
Hi, roommate.
We love supportive roommates. So in the preview for episode 3, we get all the fucking balloons that we saw in the promo. And then like there's battle lines and alliances, and we'll talk about that now because we're going to talk about episode 3 finally. Whew.
We wake up in the Big Brother house, and what do we see in the morning, SJ? Jordyn's living fucking nightmare.
But first, we get a little bit of the night 5 situation. The house guests are here. Daniel's like, I see a lot of drama. Daniel is on edge. Tilly has no filter. And Tilly goes into the DR for the first time, and she's sitting there and she's just like, hello? Hello?
Hello?
And I was just cracking up. And then
when Big Brother
how's the reception? And she's like, the phone reception? No, that was bad. I'm not going to try the accent anymore. She's like, the phone reception. I wish this was live and we had live feeds. I am just imagining Tilly on the live feeds, and like, I'm so upset that we're missing out on Tilly on the live feeds.
and the other me the hell up.
Honestly. And the other interesting person we get is Jess. We see Jess as VT, and that she was drafted by North Melbourne in the AFLW in 2018-2019. She said that she's super personable, and she's motivated by her nan. And we will talk about her nan a lot this episode, and I'm still very sad. And so, yes, we're back. I'm not ready either. But we're back to day 6, Jordyn. It is the start of day 6, and it's Jordyn's living nightmare, apparently.
The balloons.
So many balloons, Jordyn.
I mean, what I will say about the balloons, I really liked SJ's reaction to them.
She was precious. I loved
and
that.
how happy she was. But like, the sound.
I would not have had a
Like,
similar emotion.
You know, I would have preferred a ball pit.
You mean a ball pit that they did absolutely nothing with?
That. Very that. I would have preferred a ball pit.
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, the ball pit is permanent. The balloons are temporary.
The balloons. They're the start of the day 5 task.
Day 6.
Did you think of this task? Day 6. Fuck me.
I loved this task because it was dumb and stupid. But I will say, Jordyn, my analysis skills were correct because remember when we talked in the cast assessment about this specific moment where there were 18 house guests in the DR and I said the 2 people missing were Max and Lil?
You just got really crunchy and I was like,
oh no, not that. Are we better? How are we doing?
We're good.
Fabulous. But my prediction, Jordyn, was correct. Max and Lil not in the video. And I'm still sad.
You know who else wasn't an addition?
Brenton. Which we also predicted.
Where the fuck is Brenton?
Not in the house.
You know, when
yet,
we
apparently.
bring Speculation Corner in, I may have an idea as to where he's located.
Okay, I'm excited for Speculation Corner. So yeah, I liked this task. They had to pop thousands of balloons to find a golden ticket, and if so, they got to go to Big Brother Cinema Night.
I got a golden ticket.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I don't like the sound of popping balloons either. I'm not a fan of it. I don't really like it.
But you know what I appreciated? The house unity to get everyone a ticket to the cinema night.
Yeah, I was like, everyone's gonna get one, right? Like, they're gonna make sure everyone gets one, right? Like, even if it goes technically over an hour, there's no sense of time in the house. Like, they'll go over. Like, they're gonna do that, right? Like, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It happened. Great. So yeah, Christopher finds his first, and then literally everyone else, and they all file into the DR, and then with 5 minutes left, Charlotte. We get to see Charlotte, Jordyn. Remember Charlotte? We get to see Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte.
The only time Charlotte is on screen.
You know what? I want more of Charlotte. We have more of Charlotte.
I would like to know more about Charlotte. Like, where's her VT? I would like to know more about Charlotte.
Where's Charlotte's VT?
Honestly. You know whose VT we do get at this point, Jordyn? We get Ari's VT, and I'm very excited about it. Okay. He says he is a spoiled rich kid.
I was shook by the spoiled rich kid thing.
I was not surprised.
I mean, looking back, no, I'm not surprised. But I was like, oh, no. Mm-hmm. Big Brother's gonna be a struggle child.
Yeah, and he talks about how he's extremely competitive, which I love. I love a competitive, sort of villain-esque character. I don't know if he'll necessarily be the villain, but if he turns out to be the villain, I'm on board. Because
right now your villain is the Godfather.
But yeah. So we get a DR from Katie also at this point where she's like, I feel like a new woman, no one's safe in this game. And she's like, I can't trust Danny, Mel, Nick, and Renata. And she's kind of formed this little 4-person alliance situation. I think there was a name for it, but I can't remember. With Jess, SJ, and Mary.
And you know what she says? She flat out tells them who she would nominate. Almost right away. It felt right away.
Yeah, well, it's right before the nomination challenge. We'll get there. But yeah, so then we get a lot of talk about Jess and Hernan. Multiple phone calls in the Big Brother house. Multiple phone calls, and Hernan passes while she's in the house. And I know how difficult it is
Logan,
to lose a family member like that.
How would you have been able to stay in there?
I think
in this situation.
So for me, it would honestly depend on the family member. But if my family is like, I know how much you love Big Brother, like stay, I probably would. And I'm not even gonna lie, I would try to use it and capitalize on the situation as much as I could. Just because that's like the level.
Coming for that villain edit.
I mean, not necessarily the villain edit, but like if I can use that to like garner people's sympathy, then I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just what I'm gonna do. So yeah, I feel bad. Her family was like, we want you to continue because we know that this means a lot to you. And so we get a lot of like group hugging, and I love this moment where like everyone kind of came together and kind of like dropped everything and was like, we're gonna focus on Jess. And then we get this cute cinema night, and it's basically just a slideshow of like young photos of everyone, which I kind of loved. And it's at this point we get Sid's VT, and I was like, oh, Sid, I love Sid, because we didn't really know anything about Sid going into the season. He's not one of the select few people that got a VT before the season started.
Right.
So we find out that he's Indian Australian, born in London, raised in Kenya, and has been living in Perth since he was 13. He's a professional visual artist and had an art installation at 17, which, like, as an artist myself, like, that's fucking crazy and great. Love that for you. He's also a musical artist and has worked with Eminem, John Legend, and Kimbra, which I was like, who is this man? Where did they find this man? Like, where did they find this man? And then he talks about how it's time for people who look like him to show their story. And I was like, yes, thank you. Yes, 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 yes. I could not.
That's a cute moment.
More. I loved it. And then this is the part where you were talking about, Jordyn. Day 7, they're getting ready for the nomination challenge. And it's a conversation it starts out with Katie and Jess. And then Ari comes in the room. And then I think also Carlos was in the room as well. Carlos. And Katie said...
And they're mentioning the Renata dominating the house.
Yeah, and so Katie says pretty openly in this moment that she would put up Renata, Mel, and a pawn if she wins the challenge. And sort of like Jess is on board, Ari gets on board, Carlos is there for a little bit, but then Renata comes in and sort of breaks up the conversation. And so we go, and we are now doing a nomination challenge in the basement, Jordyn. I was like, oh, this is a new fun room. We love the new fun room. Yeah, so this is...
We'll talk about the next room that we're going to probably get revealed in Speculation Corner. Let's get through this.
Yes, absolutely. So this a challenge of unnamed sorts, I think. There wasn't really a name. You have to hold on to
They're getting their unnamed challenge from Big Brother Canada.
Yeah, but the second challenge was named. That had a name. I was confused. I care about the names.
Okay, so like for this one felt like BB Can 9, first challenge, sludgy bucket thing.
I mean, that's basically what this was. So they have to hold onto a rope connected to a bar with 30% of their body weight. And then routinely they have to like go to smaller and smaller knots in the rope. And then the last person standing wins. So very early on, I think it was like 40 seconds into the challenge. Remember Charlotte? We see Charlotte again. There is a Charlotte sighting. Honestly, other drinking game. Add it to the BBAU drinking game. Drink every time you see Charlotte.
You know what? Why don't we? Okay, I have a juicy idea. Our Twitter is going to come up with a BBAU drinking game.
Yes, I'm on board.
And
so we're gonna do that tonight.
Next episode of ours. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say we post it tonight, so they have it for the next 4 block of episodes.
I mean, we could.
Just start it. We can modify it as the season goes on, but we'll start it. So if you want to see that, you better make sure to be following us.
In the comments.
Yes, let us know in the comments, in the chat, do all those things.
What do you think we should add to the drinking game?
Absolutely. I think it's Carlos mentioning coffee and Charlotte being in the episode thus far. So let us know what else you would like to see in the drinking game. So yeah, I think it's like 40 seconds.
You know what else is in it? Daniel self-combusting.
Oh, the like zoom in on Daniel being like that. Yes, I'm on board.
Yeah, that phase.
Yeah, so like 40 seconds into the challenge, Charlotte drops. And I'm like, Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
I would like to know why you don't have upper body strength, Charlotte. I would like to know why. I want to know something about Charlotte.
You know, maybe we don't want that because Charlotte then might be leaving.
You're not wrong, Jordyn. But I would like to know more about her. Hopefully we see more about Charlotte. I would like to know more. And then pretty soon after, like everyone's doing well, and then Christina and Sid drop. And then I think they move to the next not down, and it's like everybody's dropping, like Carlos, Mitch, Ari, Chris, Nick, Marley, Michael, Danny, everybody drops at this point. And then I think we're at like the second knot, and it's 7 women. It's all women left. And I was like,
yeah,
female empowerment, period.
There's a lot of boss ass bitches in the BBAU house.
So my fear is that they're going to keep going after each other, because we said the same thing about BB Can, Jordyn. And the last woman standing was fucking Tara. So like, it's just like, I hope that like,
I mean, you know what we finally got? It took 84 years in BB Can, but we got a Beth eviction party.
We did. If you have not gone and watched our Beth eviction party, go watch that.
That was a party.
And I love too that the 3 oldest house guests are part of this like last group of 7. And I was like, I'm on board for this. And then shortly after that, Mary and Renata drop. Katie is kind of struggling the whole time. Katie ends up dropping. Tilly drops shortly after. And then there's a good chunk of time before SJ ultimately drops. So we're left with Melissa and Jess as the last.
SJ is turning out to be a challenge beast.
I'm on board. Like, I love it. I love to see it. So we're down to Jess and Mel at this point.
Yeah, and then we get the moment Jess is like, come on, I want to give it to my Nan. I want to do this for Nan. Mel doesn't take the deal.
Yeah, and
Mel drops.
And Jess wins.
And Jess wins. And directly has to nominate.
Yeah, goes straight from the basement, goes in to do her nominating. And I think, to no one's surprise, Jordyn, she nominates Melissa, Renata, and she puts up Sid as her 3rd nominee. She says that Renata. Yes, she says that Renata has a strong mindset. She kind of makes people uncomfortable because at the start of day 7, we see this like conversation about like vegetable skins, and I was confused. I'm like, Renata, why do you care so much? And she's like, we get it. It's like very obviously produced and like the foreshadowing of it all. But we see like Renata making people uncomfortable. I think someone had a DR about it. I don't remember who. But someone had a DR about
Katie.
It was Katie. Yeah, Katie is like, I think it was Katie. Someone was like, she's making people kind of uncomfortable. And I was like, ooh, foreshadowing. Great. She puts up Sid because everyone, she's thinking that like everybody loves Sid and is actively like, he's a pawn. And then puts up Mel because she says that Mel was never going to consider the deal. And clearly because she like didn't even say anything. Like there were no words after Jess offered the deal to Mel. so she's like, oh, she has a strong mindset as well. And then after the nominations are revealed, she kind of tells Mel to her face in the kitchen. She's like, you have a really strong mindset. Like, that's why I did what I did. And the whole time she's just like, mm-hmm.
And then not only is she bobbing her head like a bearded dragon, you start to see Renata getting pissy, being like, this is Katie's nomination.
Yeah, everyone's getting angry. So we see a DR from Danny as well, where he's just being bitter, and he's like, he's angry because Mel got put up. Katie and Danny have an argument in the cave, and he's like, you're trouble. And then I love that this was my favorite moment of this week, Jordyn. He's like, Danny's complaining in the diary room about Katie, and Big Brother asks him, he's like, so you're upset that she's scheming? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, don't you scheme as well? And Daniel's like, I guess. And I was like, pot, meat, kettle, bitch. Thank you, Big Brother. Like, that is what, like, completely sold me on Big Brother. I was like, I love this man.
I am like,
whoever this is.
Whoever this is. I've heard that it might be two people.
It sounds like one person.
Yeah, but I think they're like speaking into like a voice box, and then it's being like fed through.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Whoever runs Big Brother, whoever is Big Brother, I love it. But yeah, so then we also get this Renata, where you get a conversation with Renata and Danny saying this is all Katie's plan. Renata fully decides to move bedrooms, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then we get a fight between Renata and Jess, where Renata says, I think you're weak. After her nan literally just like passed the day before. And it was this point where I was like, okay, Renata, no, like I can't with you. Like, that's gross.
That's where Renata lost your stand card.
100%. I was just like, no, love, no. And we get a DR from Ari, where he's like, he's kind of weighing the pros and cons of evicting Renata or Mel, because at this point, like, Sid's safe. No one's.
Let us know in the comments, what did you guys think of Renata moving bedrooms and then being a total see you in next Tuesday to Miss Jess?
Yeah, but yeah, so Ari's kind of talking about like the pros and cons, and he's saying that Renata like definitely exploded, and there's the fear of like the backlash if she's put up again. And he's saying, but also Mel is very strong in challenges. So it's kind of like a back and forth. And then the other thing that I found interesting before we go into the eviction room stuff, Mel is in the DR talking about how she's upset that original players were nominated. And I'm like, why does that fucking matter? Just because you've been in the house 4 days more than other people, like, you're mad that you're getting nominated.
The entitlement.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you. Like, no. So should we talk about eviction room things very, very quickly? It has been 84 years. I'm trying to speed through the rest of this.
Look, you know what? There were some speeches, and you know who was evicted?
Renata was. Yeah, the highlights are like, Jess is upset about the noms. Daniel says Mel was put up for a strategic reason. Renata, this kind of resold me on Renata. She fully looks at Jess. She's like, Jess, are you wearing Katie's top? It looks good on you. And I was like, oh, bitch. Oh, bitch.
The sass.
The sass was everything. And then Tilly's words of wisdom, which I love. I hope it becomes a regular that Sonia asks. Oh, Sonia here. Looks great. Sonia, the entire week.
Look,
looks great.
Sonia, week 1, your wardrobe was off the chain.
Phenomenal.
You know, one thing I do wish about BB Can was I wish we got more Arissa fashion.
Yeah,
I want more Arissa weekly. More
Oh,
Arissa passion.
we're not going to have much more Arissa. We get Arissa, I think, 2 more times.
I'm very upset.
But we're getting a lot of Sonia, so I'm on board. So it ends up being a 14 to 2 to 1 vote, Jordyn. The 2 votes were on Sid, and they were from Renata and Danny. And the 1 vote was on Melissa, obviously, and Carlos voted for Melissa, which I found kind of interesting.
Voted for Melissa.
Yeah, and then everyone else voted.
Maybe he didn't like her lamb.
I don't know. I guess not.
I'm starting to feel like Big Brother with my snark.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he didn't like the lamb.
This is also the second time Carlos didn't vote for the person who was evicted. And I'm like, is this just going to be a trend that Carlos is just going to vote for whoever he wants?
Carlos is 100% voting for whoever Carlos feels like in the moment. Yeah. He's going to be that player.
Yeah. The other frustrating thing is Renata's leaving. And she's like, if any of the sheep in the house other than Daniel or Nick wins, she's moving countries. And I'm like, bitch, calm down. But yeah, so
that was bitter. That was petty. That was just
very. Jordyn, we have made it through.
You know what? I wanted. You know what I wanted? I wanted Renata. You know, Daniel's still day 12 going to be, what the fuck was her name, Big Brother? Thank God I don't have to try to figure it out anymore.
Yeah.
But you know what it's time for before we say goodnight?
Speculation corner.
Okay, we're going to just run
before we get into speculation corner, I wasn't sure we were going to get an eviction every day. And you know what? BBAU has come through. There's an eviction every day. I didn't think it was real. We're three episodes.
We're really doing it. We're really doing it.
There are only 17 guests left. It's a lot. But so we get the teaser for next week. And it's surprise week, Jordyn.
It's a surprise week. So we have 4 episodes this week, just like we have currently 4 viewers. You know what they're teasing?
The attic.
They're teasing the Big Brother attic.
It looks creepy as fuck, and I'm not on board.
You know who might be arriving through the attic?
Brenton?
I think we're getting Brenton.
Why? Why is Brenton coming in by himself? That's what I want to know. Unless we're getting more house.
I feel like because there's an eviction every day, I feel like it wouldn't surprise me if there's more that we just haven't uncovered yet.
I hope so. I hope we get some more personalities. Like, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I feel like Brenton could be coming in the attic. I'm not 100% positive that that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
that'd be fun.
It feels because it seems people are being evicted and then someone else is coming in. So I feel like more people are coming in through the attic.
Well, so my thing is either, I agree with you. I think either the attic is going to bring in new players for some reason, or whoever gets evicted in the episode that drops in 5 hours.
Who the fuck knows? Yeah.
Gets evicted next, they go into the attic, and it's like an Angela last season bunker situation.
It could be.
So it might be a fake eviction. I think it's one of those 2 possibilities for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually like super excited for the attic.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for 4 days of Big Brother.
Oh my God.
I'm
so much Big Brother. So much Big Brother is happening.
But you know what we're gonna get a lot of in 4 episodes? The sass from Big Brother himself.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Brenton.
And look. We love Brenton. I love Brenton.
Yes.
I'm a fan. And I have only seen his VT, but I'm a fan. I've also seen his Instagram. But
it's very nice. Go follow Brenton.
You know what? Like, what I feel like he's filling the Max stereotype.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's a lot more depth to him than there might have been with Max.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with that.
He's cooked for celebrities. He's extremely attractive. What else? He seems really smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah. So go follow him.
You know what
go
I'm
follow
not
SJ.
excited for, though? The possible showmance.
No. It's not possible. It was shown in his VT, Jordyn. We know he gets in a showmance with Christina.
I'm hoping the showmance doesn't last long.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So while
Logan,
you're
when
going,
are we back?
Yes.
When are we back?
So we are going to be back next Saturday, 10:30 p.m. EST. There may be another live stream midweek. Depending on how we're feeling, there may be one on Monday, there might be one on Tuesday. But the only way to find out for sure is to follow us on Twitter, because we will be updating once we know. There may be like a midweek. We might split it 2 and 2 episodes, depending on how we're feeling, because we weren't expecting this to go 2 hours, but it's basically gone 2 hours.
It did
for those of y'all,
that and more.
If any
Thank
of
you
y'all
for
have
sticking
been,
with us, because this
if
was
any of y'all have been with us the whole time, thank you.
Journey.
An absolute journey. So yeah, if there is no other midweek live stream talking about BBAU, we will be back next Saturday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk week 2 of Big Brother Australia 2021. And with that,
we are back tomorrow night.
Yes, we are also back. We are also back Sunday night, tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m.
If you haven't gotten enough of our faces.
Yes. We will be back tomorrow night, Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. EST to talk episodes 11 and 12 of The Circle. I have a lot of thoughts because I just rewatched the episodes today. There's a lot more fallout on the horizon. We've got new things dropping next week. Except we already dropped an episode of Down Under. Drag Race Down Under episode 1. We'll be talking about that as well. That's a whole other thing. I have a lot of thoughts about that. And
that
Jordyn,
better not go 2 hours.
It won't, I can guarantee. Thank you to everyone who has stayed with us the whole time, if there's anyone who has. And with that,
bye everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night.